Mr. McKay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got constituents on both sides of this issue, and I'd like to explain my vote on this today. I'm opposed to this particular bill. I'm not opposed to medical marijuana in each and every case. I think that there are cases where medical marijuana is probably appropriate. For instance, someone facing terminal cancer or severe epilepsy, at that point, why do we really even care if they find relief in medical marijuana? Then I don't have a problem with that, and I think the law should probably permit that. But I do have some concerns with this bill. And one is, I know I tend to be a little quirky about the free market stuff if you watch my votes, but I think this bill does something that is not good, and one is limits the 15 cultivation center licenses. In my year and a half serving in the House, I realized that many times the bills that are presented to the House have nothing to do with the benefit of the citizens or the consumers. Many of these bills that are presented to protect the market or the business interest of the people who are here asking us for help, whether it be professionals, whether it be businesses. Many of the bills are under a guise for the benefit of the consumer, when they're really for the benefit of the people who's making money. And let's be clear, limiting this to 15 growers is gonna make 15 growers incredibly rich. If we're gonna do this bill, then it needs to be a true free market bill, and there needs to be more than 15 cultivation center licenses. There's 30 processing facilities permitted under this bill, and you know, some people are going to get very wealthy on this bill as is currently drafted. So I have a real objection to the limitation on the growers, because I think the 15 and 30 probably have a pretty good idea who they are. The other thing is really a problem that has nothing to do with medical marijuana or even opioids. A lot of the proponents of this bill have proffered that marijuana is a solution to the opioid problem. And the opioid problem is not going away by passing this bill. And I think if we tell ourselves that it is, that we're really kidding ourselves. And I don't want to be judgmental in what I'm about to say, because I'm as guilty, and many of us are, but the real problem is that Americans want a chemical to solve every single problem they have. If our kid's not making good grades in school, we want to give them a chemical. Again, I'm not judging. There may be cases where these things are appropriate, but we want to give them a chemical. We want to give them a drug. When a kid is not behaving well, we want to give them a chemical, or we want to give them a drug. When people can't cope with their coworkers, what do they want to do? They want a magic pill that's going to change everything. And understand, I'm not judging. I'm as guilty of a lot of these things as anyone else, but medical marijuana isn't going to change people's lives. Now, if someone has a health problem, again, you're terminal, you're in pain, I'm fine with you having medical marijuana. But what we're going to see is an explosion of people using medical marijuana for as a psychotropic drug, and it's not a psychotropic drug, okay? So I have some concerns about this bill. For that reason, the grounds for using it are pretty broad, and people are going to be using this for social anxiety disorder and everything else. And I don't think using marijuana, using an opioid, using alcohol is an appropriate solution for most psychiatric disorders. So I think we need to be concerned about that. And let me give you a few statistics that I think that bear this out. In 2008, 10% of adults were using psychotropic drugs. In 2016, that number's increased to almost 16%. Here's the alarming statistic on this, because college students, 17% of college students are taking psychotropic drugs today. As of 2021, 17%. We've got a bigger problem, bigger than marijuana, and my concern with this bill is that it encourages people to use marijuana to deal with their problems. And so while I support using medical, well, I don't have a problem with people using medical marijuana in certain situations dealing with pain management, severe epileptic seizures, and things of that nature. I think going down the road that we allow people to vape marijuana to deal with their mental health issues might be a road that needs a little more consideration, and that we should narrow this bill for that reason. So for those reasons primarily, I intend to vote against this bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir.